If you're
Awesome. Hi.
watching on the recording, right, and you don't want to miss out on the live events, latinosinclinicalresearch.com, sign up to the email list. Thank you for telling me, Monica, and off to you, Ashley.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hi, Latinos in Clinical Research. So today we have two very special guests from MAPS. So if you're not aware of MAPS, you should be, right? Definitely go Google it. They stand for Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. So they were originally founded in 1986, and they are a nonprofit research and education organization that develops medical, legal, and cultural context for people to benefit from careful use of psychedelics and marijuana. And I'm personally a huge fan. I've followed for quite a while, so very excited to have them here to speak today. So first we have the Chief Scientific Officer, Vera Yazar Kloskinski. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. She has a PhD. And then we have the Associate Medical Director, Sarah J. Garcia Velasquez, who's an MD. So thank you guys so much for being here. If y'all want to go ahead and take the wing right now and kind of introduce yourself and give us a little bit more information on MAPS.
Great, thank you, Ashley. So I have a PhD in molecular cell and developmental biology, and I started my role at MAPS as a data entry intern when I was just finishing up my PhD, and I quickly moved into being a clinical research associate, and then a clinical research scientist, and then moved into regulatory affairs. Now I'm the acting director of regulatory affairs and also overseeing the R&D and regulatory affairs business unit. Sarah, would you like to do a brief overview of your background?
Of course. Hi there, Sarah Garcia Velasquez, and I am a general physician. I am originally from Mexico. That's where I obtained my degree. I treated for several years. I treated patients and did research in rural Mexico. And then I came here to the US and continued doing research, mostly in neurology and chronic degenerative diseases. And I've been at MAPS for almost 2 years now. I am the medical lead for our pivotal phase 3 program, which is the program that is working for our NDA of MDMA to get approved for MDMA-assisted therapy. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Great, thanks, Sarah. So I want to start with just laying the groundwork in terms of what is MAPS. So MAPS, as Ashley said, is a nonprofit organization, but we've actually created 2 wholly owned subsidiary companies that are benefit corporations that carry out the research mission of MAPS. And so Sarah is actually an employee at the MAPS Public Benefit Corporation, which is the largest of the 3 companies, and is continuing to grow. So we have multiple research pipelines, and the most advanced is MDMA-assisted therapy for the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder. We're currently in our confirmatory phase 3 clinical trial, and I think that it might be a good idea, Sarah, just to talk a little bit about your experience of working in the team that's really carrying forward this amazing and advanced program. What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so I work in the medical science and safety department. So what that means is that we're in charge of overseeing the safety and medical congruency of the trial and the data coming in. We do a lot of support for our clinical operations team. That's the CRAs, the CTLs, the program managers. We work very closely with them as well to push forward the projects and studies and make it viable and safe for participants.
Mm-hmm. And can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the diversity, equity, and inclusion work also that's been primarily led by the medical science and safety team? I think that'd be helpful for the crew.
Yeah, we have a diversity working group that's been working together for a while now, and we we have a few of our internal team members, and we also have external consultants that work at our sites. So that is the time that we have to improve on our processes for recruitment to make the studies more viable and appropriate for BIPOC and diverse populations. And so what that looks like is that we come together and we get very nitty gritty. We talk about what does the ICF language look like? We talk about what did the recruitment materials say? What are the words and the container that we're creating? Are they really creating an environment where it will attract and be safe for people of diverse cultures to be a part of these trials?
Thanks.
I would love to make a question about it.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, this just, I mean, we have talked in the past with other members of MAPS, and I have noticed that just the group, the workforce is very diverse. And I would like to tip on that, is that has bring, like, for example, what Sarah was mentioning, is that has bring positive impact when you guys are working on diversity for the patient population in the documentation and all of that.
Yeah, so we actually started out our phase 3 program in November 2018 with a staff retreat. And in that staff retreat, we all went through an experience of participating in a DEI workshop. And, we knew that the company was going to start to grow from that point onward pretty rapidly. And we wanted to take advantage of the growth to be able to diversify our workforce, so that we could also reach more diverse patients and also work with more diverse groups of clinicians. So we started out with doing our own internal work on our staff. And then now you can see the ripple effects of that work carrying throughout the rest of the research, and then hopefully into really generalizable clinical trials. So Sarah, I think we've had some recent good news on this front, haven't we? When we were looking at some of the race and ethnicity data coming from our phase 3 trial. Could you summarize that?
Yeah, our second phase 3 trial, we've done 2, and so the second one that's currently ongoing, the percentages of BIPOC populations have gone up by more than 50% than our original one. So we're very excited and happy about that. It's been a huge push, and just, it feels really good to be able to see those results. As you probably know, working in diversity, it's sometimes you work on day to day and it's hard to see results. So when those come in, it's been very nice and heartwarming.
And then also among our staff, we Sarah and I were chatting about this because we had a little joint project of doing an in-house translation of the abstract of our phase 3 publication in Nature Medicine that came out in May 2021. We just kind of got a little task force together and collected the first generation immigrants who felt comfortable with translating to come up with a variety of languages, of translated abstracts for dissemination around the world. And I think that is something that we'd like to do more going forward. I'd also like to mention the countries that we're active in. So I mentioned there's the 2 subsidiary companies. So MAPS Public Benefit Corporation is based in the United States. MAPS Europe is based in the Netherlands, and MAPS Europe is our European legal entity that is the designated sponsor for European clinical trials, and also those in the UK. So the countries, though, that we are active in with actively conducting clinical trials are, the list is just amazing, actually, I think. So I just want to share a couple. So we have US, Israel, Canada. We have, in In Europe, we have the Czech Republic, Norway, the Netherlands, Germany, Portugal, Spain, and the UK. And did I miss any? I don't think so. Yeah, and then also we've supported investigator-initiated trials in South America. We supported a small study in Brazil, and we're looking into, aligning our global regulatory filing strategy with what it actually takes to be able to do psychotherapy augmented with a drug that carries a lot of stigma. So there's a lot of cross-cultural adaptation considerations that have to be made, because psychotherapy doesn't look the same in every country. And now I'm hiring for a head of global regulatory affairs to be able to really push the envelope on this in multiple countries. And we're probably going to start to collaborate with some NGOs that deliver mental health services in like 30 plus countries. So there's a lot of opportunity for jobs, and I think we've passed on some of our jobs for the jobs board to you already, and we're actively hiring. So
I have two questions about that, what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
First one is, for example, if a doctor in South America would like to have or to share the project with you guys, how can they reach out, or what's the process?
Yeah, we have a web form currently that is kind of a research interest form. It's iit.maps.org, and I'll put it into the chat. We can't take everybody, though, that that expresses interest, but we do try. And there it is in the chat. So I think there's also a pretty heavy training component in what we offer. So even if we can't accommodate a research interest, we can still think of ways of providing training for the clinicians, like a physician or a mental health practitioner who's interested in learning more about psychedelic assisted therapies. So there's multiple ways to get engaged. And then also we maintain a worldwide list of psychedelic societies, which I'll also put in the chat so that I can share the links after the call too.
Okay. And then I have two more questions. Then the other question will be for the principal investigators here in United States that will love to participate as sites to carry out the clinical trials for MAPS. How can they reach out, or how can they be part of your list?
Yeah, I think we haven't yet made a web form for that, and I think it might be time. I think I'll have to pass that on later, but yeah, we're actively, on the home run for the phase 3 clinical trials, and so I would anticipate that we'll have openings for potential sites as we expand into new indications, because we have the great advantage of having lots of options in terms of new indications for this treatment.
Okay, awesome. That's wonderful. And then my next question is in regards to job opportunities, because a lot of our audience will be looking for that too, as the organization is very exciting to work for, and especially because our audience is such a diverse group of people, where they can go and take a look. Is that the process is through the website, or can they just send directly their CVs, or how does it work?
Yeah, we do have a web form for that one. So mapspublicbenefit.com/careers, and I'll provide that link as well. We have a job board on the website link I just mentioned, and then people can apply online. And I think that it's safe to say, Sarah, right, that we're very excited about multicultural applicants, because it really helps us to be able to make better plans around like the cross-cultural adaptation of the treatment itself.
Okay, and do you guys have any internship program?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I had started out as an intern, and
Oh,
because
yeah, I remember that.
so we have taken in interns at a variety of levels over the years, and we provide training to the interns in terms of how to do entry level clinical research tasks. We also have clinical study assistants that are coming into the field and are very new. So I think there's a variety of ways of engaging at the entry level. I will also have data management associate positions open shortly. So depending on the person's area of interest and aptitude around things like systems or data or clinical studies, I think there's lots of ways for us to both take interns as well as hire as employees. And usually what we see is that interns stay on and become employees themselves and move up the ranks. So yeah, data entry intern to chief scientific officer, just,
is that, of course. I mean, the important thing is to put your feet on it, right?
Yeah.
So is that available also on the website?
We usually post our internships on the job board as well. And also what we've done in the past is when we have, we've also just received kind of inquiries through our Ask Maps email where people just want to say, hey, do you guys offer internships? This is my background. But sometimes that's a bit harder to make a match. And we do provide, mentorship as a part of the internship. So we can't always take on interns. It'll depend on the timing and stage of the specific program.
Sure.
Okay, that's great.
Oh, go ahead, Nan. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bear. I was gonna ask. So, in that sense, are you more like a CRO, or do you where do you get the science from, and do they approach you? I'm assuming the value add is you help with the CRO stuff, but is there do you get involved on the path to commercialization? Because I know a lot of these scientists just have ideas, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's commercially viable. So how does that where do you guys fit into that process?
Yeah, we're not a CRO. We're working on the sponsor side. So MAPS is the nonprofit and has delegated all the research activities and sponsor responsibilities to the Public Benefit Corporation subsidiary. And a lot of the science is driven by the MAPS Public Benefit Corporation. I would say, in fact, all of it. And then we're currently entertaining the idea of bringing in CROs to further support our operations. It has been a challenge to hire in the midst of the pandemic, and we're a fully distributed company, which is also worth mentioning, and we're in 29 different states. So very distributed.
So you would be contracting, let's say for a large phase 3 study, you would be contracting out to one of the CROs.
No, for the large phase 3 study, we kept it in-house because we need to make sure that it's done to our internal standards. For the pre-approval pragmatic trials and various other kinds of compassionate use programs, we may choose to contract those out to CROs.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, that makes more sense. Thank you.
I was actually curious, going back to what Monica was talking about. So if you're a CRA or a clinical research coordinator, right, and you have all this experience, but you kind of want to go into psychedelics. I mean, I know I'll eventually be at that point where I'm gonna finally want to venture out into that. But if that's the case, so is it necessary to have the background already, or the knowledge, or at least some sort of therapeutic exposure in research prior to it?
No, I think it's Sarah. I'd love to hear how you went with your career on this one first, and then maybe I can supplement.
Yeah. So I started as a coordinator back in the day, getting my feet wet for research in the U.S. and then worked my way up into sponsor. And I think that having that background as a coordinator and having experience with CRA and the sponsor, and just having that continuous leading the trial with the investigators, because as we all know, coordinators are like the spearhead of the trials, and they're worth their weight in gold. So I think that experience is completely useful and necessary, like to make a jump to CRA, to any sponsor, including at MAPS. So just a good grasp on clinical research.
Awesome. And for you, Sarah, were you always at MAPS since way back into when you were a coordinator, or you were previous in some other studies?
No, I worked in other sites and other companies, mostly, as I mentioned, in neurology. The company that I worked for before MAPS was a company that was for decentralized trials. So that also gave me a lot of useful experience that I brought to MAPS. So any work in clinical research will like pave your way into what you're looking for and what you want to do. And I think MAPS is the only place where I've used all of my skills and all of my experience. Not one has gone untouched.
Awesome. And I'm curious, since you've had previous experience with other sites and studies, etc. How do you feel with MAPS? Work-wise, because sometimes in general, research is very rewarding. At times it can be a little bit, paperwork and all of that good stuff. But what do you personally get out of MAPS, with the work that you're doing? Because it is different, and I think that's why MAPS in general to me stood out so much. And since I was in college. So, what do you personally get out of it, and why do you feel it so brings you so much purpose, I guess you could say?
I mean, I've known about MAPS since I was a child. I've always wanted to work at MAPS. So to me, it's my dream job. So even though I have those same moments where it's like, oh my goodness, this data set is so long. Like I'm so tired at looking at this Excel sheet. Like that happens anywhere, I think. But the work that is being done and the purpose and the therapeutic area and the people that I work with is just so rewarding, and the balance of the tedious and the reward is just so disproportionate.
Amazing. That's a great answer. And we're actually coming close to the midpoint. But something I guess I personally would like to, kind of end off on is what would you say is maybe one of the major things that those that are barely learn about MAPS for the first time that might misconstrue what the day-to-day work would be as a research professional, working with one of the studies that y'all have?
And maybe I'll take a stab at that. So I think, people have all sorts of ideas about how we work, and mostly it's just like any other work from home kind of a job. There's dogs and kids and, soccer practice and stuff. But I think a lot of people think that we're just sitting around smoking pot all the time or something, and that really isn't the case. Often we're really working hard, and I think that each of us are, trying to balance the unmet medical need in the patient population that we're trying to help with our individual and company capacity constraints. And so it's very important to really stay focused in order to be able to serve the patients the fastest in the most maximal way possible. And also, to the prior question, I personally am involved also in some of the commercialization discussions. And I do a lot of public speaking, and presentations at conferences to the NIH. And so my day-to-day is really just going from I'll do a webinar for Stanford, I'll participate in a workshop with the NIH, then I'll go do a regulatory agency meeting with Norway. So it's quite fast moving and switching from one thing to the next. And there's lately I have been working on my work-life balance and exercising every day. So that's been helpful.
That's awesome. I have a question for each of you. So for Vera, what would you tell the people that starting a new career in research? What would you tell them? I mean, like a tip or something, because obviously you started as a data management, was it right?
Yeah, I did it all. I did data entry, and then I went into clinical
exactly.
research.
So you started data entry, which is one of the most probably most basic areas, right? Yeah. And now you are the chief scientific officer. So I mean, like, wow. In how long? How long?
12 years.
Okay. So could you please tell the people out there to motivate them?
So the people out there, it's having good attention to detail and trying to approach what may seem like a tedious task with curiosity and using it as an opportunity to learn is something that I did. So I would file all the essential documents, but I would also take a little time to just skim it so that I understood what the meaning behind it was. And with data also, it's just, a bunch of numbers on an Excel spreadsheet, but thinking about the meaning behind it and asking questions and also looking up publications is how I ended up really advancing.
Awesome. Thank you for that answer. And now for you, Sarah, for all the doctors that come from overseas, because we have plenty of doctors that come from overseas and oftentimes they don't even know they can be in research, right? So you will be obviously a motivator for this. What would you tell them?
To know that when you get here, it's really easy to be a little bit nervous and frightful because you don't know maybe the culture or the work culture. That was kind of hard for me to understand because it's so different from Mexico. But to know your worth and that you have, you're a doctor, you've been or whatever it is, the background that you have, that you've worked and you are aware of what the things that you can do, and that doesn't go away when you cross a border. That stays with you, and that more than going away, it's a really important perspective because there's plenty of patients and people that need your perspective as a scientist, as a doctor, from the place that you come from, and as an immigrant. So keeping that in mind, knowing your worth, and not letting companies tell you that you can't be in a certain role because your MD is from elsewhere, because I had to deal with that a lot. And just knowing how to navigate that and, not accepting no for an answer when you know you can do the job.
I love you guys' answers. Both of your
Thank
answers,
you.
amazing.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
I have to send that clip to we have an international medical graduate from Mexico, actually. I'm trying to convince him to be a coordinator. So I'm going to splice that minute from Sarah out and send it to him. Thank you. Thank you for helping, Sarah.
Dan, I actually have one for you.
Okay. All right. We got one question. Anybody questions for MAPS? Let me know. Perla had a question. Perla said she'd like to know more about the DE&I exercises at the retreat.
Yeah. So I think this predated Sarah. So I'll take this one. What we did is we hired 2 DEI consultants. They did a whole day workshop with all the staff in our company, and we really went in depth with actually reviewing American history the way that it should have been taught. And people were crying. They really had not understood the misconceptions that they were raised on. And I think for me, because I grew up partially in Turkey from age 9 to 17, I had missed out on all that American history entirely, and it was very shocking for me as well. And my parents had both become naturalized when I was a baby, so I think that it was really eye-opening and helped us realize how messed up it is. So with that background, we really were able to rally around everybody around making a change and committing to do this kind of work on an ongoing basis. So subsequently, after the retreat, we set up a working group with the senior leadership team and started just meeting on a weekly basis and just coming up with like, okay, what can be done? What are the resources out there? How can we incorporate this into our business practices? And then use that to first do the inner work and then do the company work and then the research work and create change in the world.
Wow, what an amazing company to work for.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much. We really appreciate all your input today and everything just that you shared with us. We appreciate your story. And for those of you that are here today and those of you who are going to be watching later, we do very much plan to have them on throughout the year. There's so much that MAPS has to share and that we're personally very interested on learning more about. So just, always keep your eyes out on LinkedIn and on our social media platforms because, they will be back for sure. But Dan, if you want to go ahead and take it from here.
Yes, thank you. So thank you, MAPS team. It was great. Hopefully we get to do more with you guys. I know for me, it was interesting to learn about your guys' business model and how you operate. Carla Vera Navas, are you there? Can you come show yourself? Reveal yourself. Okay, Carla and Javier. So I've never met Carla. Carla was in Arizona last weekend, but there was no way I could get out there. It was a 3-hour drive. I had a lot going on. First screening visit. I couldn't do it, but I met Chris and I both met her husband, Javier, in LA right before the pandemic hit. And it was like the coldest. All I remember was the coldest day in LA history. It was like 45 degrees outside and windy. It was like it does not get like that out there. But we had like a amazing dinner, 2-hour long conversation, and with Valentine's Day around the corner, the LICR team and a lot from the community were like, you know what, would like to talk more about couples in research because a lot of people in our industry do not work in the same industry as their significant other, but there are those who do. And I think it's actually increasing. I know it's just anecdotal, but I think it's increasing. I think working from home did something to a lot of couples where they're looking at what their significant others doing and say, well, I can do this too. What are you doing? You're like, it's not that complicated. So, but Carla and Javier, they've been doing this for a while. I don't know what happened. It's my camera. It's my camera. I don't know what happened. I don't know where I left off. I don't know where I left off, but I was onto something.
I'm not
For a while.
Yeah.
So you guys worked together before the work from home thing, right? And I know like a lot of people, I don't know, Monica, if you want to share your story with with your spouse, but there's a lot of people I'm noticing are starting to work in research together as couples, whether it's the same company like Carla and her husband. Carla started her CRO and we could get into that, or just working in the same industry or maybe at the same company. I kid you not, the monitor today that did my site selection visit, her husband's also a monitor for another CRO. So I don't know, something's up. So Carla, Javier, welcome. Thank you guys for coming.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what's it
So-
like to work? Because you guys work together. Like before, it was cool to work from home and work together. You did that. You've been doing this for a while.
Yes, but before we start, let me tell you, I have to tell it to Vera and Sarah. I take my hat off. I see young Hispanic or different racial women taking this on, and it's really I'm very proud to be a young woman. I mean, and myself though, because it's not that young, but I love them. See Sarah and Vera with their energy and just looking forward to help the community. It's very
Encouraging.
encouraged to see them, the next generation of upcoming professionals that we have coming.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. So what is it like? Like you guys, you first of all, just give everyone like maybe a 2-minute overview of your company. It's your own CRO. You started it. I know my company is about to collaborate with you on a potentially big project. But how did you get started with your CRO? Because you have a great story, Carla. Let's go like 2 minutes out your story. It's amazing.
Compress it.
Okay. So let me correct that. We're not a CRO. We are a service provider for sponsors and pharmaceutical companies or CRO services. So let me just clarify that.
Okay.
Can we pull the whole CRO thing? Yes, we can, because we have several connections that we can have protocol medical writing people and stuff like that, and it's not an issue. But normally, like we have a very small biotech contact me and said, okay, this is what we want to do. Can you help us? And I'll be able to provide all those services in a package. So kind of one thing. My background, my first job was in research. When I was 18 years old, first from Ecuador in the United States, I started working here in a company called that did phase 1 studies only. Okay, so that's and the person who was handling the protocols, I mean the consents to the patients, getting the patient's ID to writing in the system, that was me. So basically, I started kind of an admin person, a secretary, to data entry, to coordinating studies, to becoming senior coordinator, quality assurance, handling monitors, and so on, until a company who develops or have sites in Latin America only needed a CRA. And at that time, I'm talking about, I don't know, maybe 15 to 20 years ago, we didn't have many CRAs who spoke Spanish. So they gave me the opportunity to become a CRA in Latin America. So that's how my role started, because I understood research so well. We were able to develop like about 8 to 10 sites in Latin America, where literally we get doctors that did not know anything about research, and we make them doctors, investigators with research experience and have enough experience so we get a lot of returning clients. One of the model that works for Latin America, it's because there's a lot of conditions in the US that we don't have, that we don't have here, that we have outside. For example, it works a lot in dermatology, because here we don't have many impetigo cases or acne naive, because you can go to the pharmacy and get a treatment. Over there, it's kind of more difficult and a little bit more expensive. So it works both ways. So I came back. I decided, when you work overseas, it's weeks at a time that you are out of. It's not just 2 or 3 days. It's just weeks, because the sponsor is not going to pay a trip out of the country just for you to do a visit. So I had to do 2 or 3 visits at a time, which caused myself to be out of home a lot. And that took away on our family and things like that. So I decided to do a little bit more CRA services when it came here to the US for a big CRO, and come to find out it was just as much or worse than working in Latin America, because the amount of work that I had was intense.
So I gotta ask. So because when I had dinner with Javier, I know your media background, Univision, I think, right?
Telemundo.
Oh, Telemundo. Okay, I knew it was one of those two. Okay, so do you think that has a lot to do with why you guys work together, because of the early days when you could not see each other maybe that often? So you figured, you know what, let's just work together. Has that had something to do with it?
Well, part of it, most likely, it was more the chance to expand are not only working in the same field, but also having the chance to grow as a company,
And as a business, yeah.
as a business model, because it's easier to build a business with somebody that you trust, you love, and he's gonna take your company to the next level, like my wife and I. So I took that opportunity. Plus, like I told you that time, the time is valuable. The 8 to 9, the 9 to 5 is not working. It's never worked. It sucks you up. It turn you down, and they don't offer anything. So one of one of the main benefits of it is sharing more time together, working in the same field, and grow as we work instead of just giving your lungs to somebody else. So that's pretty much it. And I
that
love
perspective.
and I love this area. I like medicine. I like science. So I'm
Yeah, he completed really well. It's not and I think one of the things that really like took a hit for us is when we started a little bit more in the pandemic. We both were home, and we were not used to that, but we were both home with 4 kids, and it really changed the chemistry in the house, because I'm usually out. So I was here, trying to see, it's milk over. I'm gonna go see the meal, get the milk. Did something wrong out? Let me go out. So
we switch the roles.
We kind of switch the roles, yes. So now mom is becoming more available to the kids, which is a new thing for them and a new thing for me, because Thursdays, man, I would rather do 24-hour CRA than 2 hours mom.
Like Canada is staying home.
That's funny. Well, you're probably setting a good example for your kids. I mean, that's something we could talk about later. One of the things that we're trying to do as an organization, Latinos in Clinical Research, is try to reach the youth more. I mean, we're trying with the colleges first, but ultimately we want to go to high schools and even lower if we can, just to give an idea, even if it's like a superficial idea of what clinical research is and that it's a career option, because a lot of people start in this industry on accident, and we think that there's a better way to do that.
Exactly. And if you go ahead, Ash.
I had a quick question. So, working together to say you're kind of, I guess, vibing off of each other's strengths and harmoniously working like that. Have you personally found though that at least more specifically when it comes to work, that you're able to now pinpoint weaknesses that you might have professionally, right? And then kind of help critique each other to where you're also still growing professionally, individually, and then ultimately it kind of progressing into your company.
Yeah, I think we have.
When I started, she was my coach, teacher, and boss. So at the same time, so that trifecta make me to do my work better in a way, and to getting into not just doing a paper or just doing the work like a job, but more to care about what I'm doing, because it's my image at the end of the day. So that, and I critique, we critique each other to better. So that's something very neat.
And one of the things we notice is I'm very detail oriented to the extreme, and he will look at it the more structure or the look outside the box. So we help each other, especially when it comes to do business decision. I'll be like, we can do this because of this. And he's like, what do you mean we can? There is so many ways to deal with that. So I think we complement each other really well because of that. And it helps us a lot. He might have a doubt in a regulation and I don't know that, but he makes me look at it. Well, what about if the doctor do this? So it's not incorrect, but there is so many ways that you can address an issue, correct? So that really helped us out here.
I think I would like to say something. Oh, sorry, Ashley.
No,
okay.
No,
Carla, I think, one of the things that I have, how can I say, that I got from you is that you have a lot of passion for research, and I think that's something that attracts other people, and that's probably also why your husband ended up doing it, because I mean, when you're so passionate about something, they will say, "What is that? What is that so nice? Why she love it, or why he love it so much? I want to know. I want to experience the same."
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that they always the most recurrent question is, what do you do for a living? And then the answer is, we do clinical research. And then it's like, what is that? So then you explain that, and then they say, oh, so it's like this. No, no, Linda, listen. So we started re-explain and re-explain, and at the end of the day, they kind of grasp the idea what clinical research means and entitles and what it embarks, because it's a lot. It's
Yeah.
not only about medicines.
Yeah.
It's about everything. It's like how to affect a subject, what is out in the market, why is doing this, why is doing that. So I guess that is the main thing that pulled me into her realm, because I was really the opposite way. But still, it was something that kind of got me in the beginning, but she, turned into a, you should try this, and then, oh, okay, I like it. So that's how it ended up at the till today.
And
I
then
think in research. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
just following up on your question, one of the things we are trying to do here is that in order to explain what we do, we are explaining what we believe in. So we believe in quality care. And because we believe in quality care, we do clinical research as and such thing. Because we understand now that for people to understand what is it that you do for a career, it's better for them to see what is it that you believe in, to know how much passionate you are for it. So I believe that quality care should be available for anyone and everyone in everywhere. So this is why we do clinical research. So, and then everything follows the order. And again, that those type of thoughts sometimes comes when we don't care a lot, because, I think in one of previous podcasts, I said, I even think of research when I'm showering. And it's true. I'm like, you give me a problem and I'm trying to figure out how to get from A to B and from B to C, to develop that. And I don't know if it's skill. I don't know if something that only people that really care, Vera can help me out there. But we are like that. People that care for the community are like that. And this is the best trend that you're going to find if you want to do research. That I think that's one of the hard skills that you need to work in this part.
I agree with that point of view. I think research somehow is, it's so fulfilling in many ways that it's almost like a poison. Whenever you get into research, it's really hard to get off, because the research wall has everything you can think of. If you like advertisement, we have advertisement in research. Yeah. And then if you're doing that, for sure you're gonna get involved in something else. So it happens with every single career and every people that gets into research, I think, or the majority at least.
And believe it or not, that's how I kind of started, because our family had a research site. And then so that happens that I saw a contract, or I heard like advertising, and I love designing. And then, I can do the banners, I can do this, I can do that. So I started doing the whole advertisement for the site. Then the next step was building try to design the commercial, the audio, the web page, all the stuff start like building up, and then a little bit more, a little bit more. With I guess the point of definitely I wanted to know more. It was one of the back like 10 years ago, studying Alzheimer's. They explained it so well with a documentary, with a science background, I was like, oh my God, I need to know more. So I started like little by little drag me into that.
And that's really for us as when we had a site, it really helped us, because I didn't have to explain to a developer, we need to get this approved for the consent, you cannot put it on. So it's just hard sometimes to have people understand that, even if you change a letter, it causes you an issue. So we took advantage of that, honestly. So, but it really helped well. So he kind of grasped it. But we have, I think we had maybe like 2 or 3 people that we had changed them from coordinators to CRA roles. I don't claim myself as a mentor. I am trying to become a better mentor, but I do like to help people. Like if I see someone that wants to really change from coordinator role to CRA and they have a potential, I'm there to help them become that bridge that they need.
Absolutely love. I mean, I have heard your story so many times, and every time it's something new, right?
I think I interviewed Carla twice and Javier once in person with Chris. Chris is there. I think you remember that frigid day. Yeah, you know, the CRA today I was talking to, we both kind of agree, and I think anyone who works in the industry would agree right now that the industry is there's such a demand for workers, but the industry is still refusing to take the chance on somebody who's naive or research naive. So it really boils down to like the small business. And who does the small business turn to? It's family. I mean, I know from my experience, like I have a new site. I needed a coordinator. Guess who I turned to? My niece, who's a medical assistant.
Yeah.
Now she moved to Vegas with her boyfriend. So guess who I turned to after that? My wife. And you just keep turning to people in your inner circle because you need people, right?
Trustful. It's about trust. It's about something that is gonna carry whatever you're gonna pour into the people. It's gonna duplicate that. It's about that.
And then the other thing is that because you know you have a site and you don't want to have your site having a you know someone carry an issue with your site, so you trust your family. But also that
plus your family will work for no pay. They'll work for free. That's love. That's true love.
Maybe
right
that's
there.
why nobody wants to work with me. Nobody in my family.
Yes, they will help you regardless. And those 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day of work, they are there.
Yeah. Remember the sleepless nights.
Yeah, we had a couple of phase 1 studies where our technician was like, oh, I'm sick, and you have to do the pica blood. So guess who will go at midnight to do the blood? Because if not, I will tell the client. So and it just happens. But I think one of the other things is or issues that I see in the industry and why couples are getting together is because one, they're not allowing new people, naive, or they don't have a really good partnership or mentor program that helps the new upcoming CRAs or coordinators. And that's what the smaller places facilitate. Because, for example, you have your wife, but then if you get someone else, your wife is going to care much about your business that they will train this person in the exactly correct way. And that's what we do in our side. Like obviously I don't have an office. I have a home office. So the people that I work with, they come to my office, my living room, and they see the craziness and they see that every minute that I get to give them with knowledge, it's not just it's just valuable. And I always tell them, you know, what you're doing now, it's an interview for tomorrow. Because even if we hang up today, I don't know if, you know, later on I'm going to meet with Dan in another job or Monica or you, Judy, in another place, and your recommendation might be valuable for me to get that contract, to get that job. So it's really important that we put that as a first, because it's not only the company, it's you carry the title everywhere you go in this small world.
I think all you need is a chance sometimes, and you know, family is the best suited to give that. I mean, look at Sarah, you know, the previous guest from MAPS. She's a medical monitor. Somebody had to give her that chance. And IMG can be a medical monitor, but it's hard for bigger companies to give somebody that chance. So now she had that chance. Guess what? Nobody else is going to be taking a chance next time. She's medical monitor. Now she's associate medical director. So that's what it takes. It just takes the first chance. That's it.
Yeah. And another thing that I also get asked is like, why haven't you? I do have my own monitoring services, and I don't know. I don't like so much the corporate America type of thing when it comes to CROs. You know how I love the CRAs. I don't blame the CROs. I think we could do it better. But why haven't we grown much is because we want to give that quality of time still to the client and to every CRA that comes in, because it's not about quantity. Once we forget about why we're doing it, then everything goes bad. So we need to have that care. And that's what we're finding out, I think, more and more, that still with quantity, you are able to accomplish a lot more than with just quantity.
And that's why they go to the smaller businesses. I've been saying small is the new big. I think
Okay.
MAPS is actually a good representation of that, even though they're probably bigger now, but they still provide like that niche type of service that you can't get from IQVIA or.
And like they were just
PPD.
mentioning right now is that they worked in the inside, they worked inner first, the in-home, in-house, making sure that there was quality there. And then now, letting it have that ripple effect. And I think that is exactly what's missing in bigger CROs. And even, sponsor companies that have that.
It turned out to be like a factory of making CRAs.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
background, no common sense, no nothing, like just producing something.
Exactly. And then in the sense of, it's also very like a procedure based, right? So if somebody actually wants to or not wants to, but consider the idea of being a monitor or being a CTM or anything like that, they can't necessarily put that time into you until you know that you want it. So then you're in that limbo, right? And now you're stuck, or you can't move forward, or if you do move forward, you're pressured to like it. And that takes the fun out of understanding your process through research, right?
Yep.
And that's the problem, right? You're taking it out you're thinking more of the profit aspect and the long-term profit from that individual, as opposed to let's try to nurture that person. Let's make sure that they understand and know everything what they expect. If you do that, they will get quicker to where they need to be, right? And then you will have not only a great professional, but now they're going to want to provide that guidance to somebody else, and they're going to know how to do it because they receive the right guidance. And I think that's why there's a lot of not as many mentors as there needs to be, because you get that bitterness of like, well, I didn't have guidance, or it's also I just really don't know where to even start. I just kind of was looking stuff around. Go research. I can't really do much for you. And so I think there's a lot of inner work that needs to be done, just like what Maps was saying. And I'm really glad to hear that you guys do that, and that y'all take pride in that, and you really like care to do that, because it does take time and effort. But and then while you're mentoring, they also get to see your relationship, right? I think it says a lot when a couple not only works together and has the powerhouse effect, right, but also so closely and in the same industry. That says a lot. And so kudos to you guys for doing what you do.
Thank you.
You said something very, very key in this, like it's very procedural based instead of being passion something based. That's something that you can ignite something into research that you can get from the CRA, instead of boring them with procedures and how to do it. And that won't last. That's why we are more like detail minded, more like family minded or directed, because we see it as a potential to grow, to pour in people that want to be a CRA. So.
Exactly. And as you know, Ash, we spoke off the phone. We're going to be trying to develop a program where we can mentor more CRAs to help them in the industry, because it's not easy to navigate in this industry. So hopefully we have better news after a couple of meetings, and we can develop that. And we also have planning a lot more things coming up. So just keep us in the loop.
For sure. Excited. I mean, and this is why, we're doing a bunch of things outside of Latinos in clinical research, but why we love this platform, because as we're meeting individuals like you all and MAPS and so on and so forth, we want to make sure that, we share the information, we share your passion with everybody else, and that we give people a pathway to individuals that actually care very much and that are trying to do and make change in the industry, because it starts there, right? It's just somebody wanting to make change, wanting to make that difference, and then ultimately it doing the ripple effect, because you're letting other people know that it's doable. can be tough sometimes, but it's very doable. And so we hope to continue to facilitate you all, as well as, Vera and the rest, everybody from MAPS. So we would love to continue to have you guys here. And we are already at 7:04 p.m. Central Standard Time. If anybody has any questions, please put it in the chat so that we can go ahead and make sure that, we
I
get
have
these
an
things.
I have an answer for a question. We have 4 kids. They're 17, 16, 10, and 6. If I know.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Somebody has something better. I
Good for
guess.
you guys. That's
Yeah,
good. That's
it's
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, that
How
was
do y'all
me.
do it?
I love kids,
Oh
and
my
I was
gosh,
just
that's
like,
a
"Oh, I
challenge."
wonder how old their kids are."
Oh,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Amazing.
and
I don't
if anyone asks me, how do you do it? I have no idea. We have a lot of family support.
I,
I just have my fur baby. That's it. I can't. As far as it goes for me. My dog. I know.
I have two
Well,
kiddos. It's a challenge.
it's a challenge within itself. So,
Well, awesome. I think that that's pretty much it then for the night. You guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody, please go follow everybody here that we presented today. We will also be including it on, the video that we end up posting. If you all can please share your LinkedIn page here on the chat so that everybody that is
That's good.
attending.
Everybody put your
can-
LinkedIn, and we'll give time for everybody to go follow.
For
I would
sure.
like to mention something very quick.
Yes, Monica, go ahead.
Just following on what Carla and Javier were mentioning about the education part and also the mentoring. That's also part of our mission, Latinos in Clinical Research, and that's why we created the programs that we have available out there. So we have the CRC Academy, we have the CRA Academy, now we have the clinician class, the investigator, the clinician investigator class. I forgot how we call it.
College of Clinical
Yeah.
Research Clinicians.
Exactly, and data management is coming, and the clinical research recruitment too. So stay
Clinical
tuned
trial
for that.
assistance
Yeah,
as well.
We're going to be working together a lot.
a lot.
Waiting
we are ready.
over there.
Yeah, and our because we start creating different programs, and now we put it all in one house, and it's called the University of Clinical Research.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So just to
and-
specialize in everything, giving everybody the opportunity. And the great thing is that it's not just the class, but we take it very personal, and the students basically have contact with us constantly. So that's the beauty of this. It's not just about having big numbers. A lot of students.
Oh yeah, we got one
giving
of our
quality.
first husband and wife, keeping the spirit of today, the first husband and wife internships
That's
happening.
great.
It happened. One of them is an intern for my site. And she's
Okay.
Oh, that's
really good.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's an intern from that side, and then
her husband's an intern for you.
Yeah, for the CRC Academy and Latinos in Clinical Research.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, and so we will definitely be having a video on that soon to give a little bit more detail, and providing links and all sorts of things like that, you guys. But we just wanted to share that with you because if you do know of anybody that's interested in research, and would very much be considering of this, or if any international doctors that are really interested in coming over here to the US, or here in the US looking into getting involved with research, this is definitely for them. And again, like Monica said, we really want to, this is part of our mission, this is important to us, and we want to use this platform to reach as many people as we can, to let them know that regardless of your background, just a little bit of education, some good guidance and mentoring, it can go a long way, and we're here to do that. We want to be here for everybody. So yeah, thank you guys so much for everything. And again, if please go ahead and add everybody on LinkedIn, connect, network. This is what we're here for. This is what it's for. We can do more things if we all just continue to communicate and connect and move forward our mission.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah, Vera, Javier, and Carla, for sharing your story and for motivating people out there.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your
Thank you
time.
so much.
Thank you to
Thank you.
sharing with us and having this time with us.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Awesome.
Thank
Well,
you.
everybody, you
Thank
guys
you.
have a great night. Thank you so much, Latinos in Clinical Research. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.